Welcome everyone to Ein Sof Learning. Today we're going to go through the Jewish perspective on free will and destiny. And I want to start off this short discussion by bringing a very famous line from the famous Derech Hashem, the path of God, written by the 18th century Kabbalist Rabbi Moshe Chaim Luzzatto, better known as the Ramchal. Everything is foreseen, yet freedom of choice is granted. I just wanted to bring that line right off the bat to ensure that there is no confusion regarding what Judaism says on this topic. The Torah does, in fact, state in multiple places that human beings have free will. For instance, Deuteronomy chapter 30 verse 19 states, "I call heaven and earth to witness against you today, that I have set before you life and death, blessing and curse. Therefore, choose life, that you and your offspring may live." This verse from Deuteronomy emphasizes the importance of choices and the ability to choose between good and bad. Similarly, in Deuteronomy chapter 11, verses 26 to 28, God states, "See, I am setting before you today a blessing and a curse. The blessing, if you obey the commandments of Hashem your God, which I command you today, and the curse, if you do not obey the commandments of Hashem your God." This passage presents choices and their corresponding outcomes, implying the exercise of free will. Moreover, God knows every single thought and circumstance that has ever or will ever take place within the creation, whether past, present, or future, and no matter how significant or insignificant it may seem. Remember, God's name is spelled Yud, He, Vav, He, a contraction of three words: Haya, Hoveh, and Yihyeh, was, is, and will be. God is the highest wisdom, and He actually can't not know what goes on within the world, because the creation is actually an experience that exists within Him. As the famous Jewish philosopher Maimonides states in his famous work, Guide for the Perplexed, Hashem is the knower, the known, and the knowing, all at the same time. And that might sound like a very deep and mystical idea, and it is, but it's also the foundation for all Jewish philosophy and mysticism. This idea that God does not only exist outside the creation and interacts with us from time to time. No, God is intimately involved with every detail of the creation, everything that has ever happened and will ever happen. The creation is an experience that takes place within God. This is precisely how becoming closer to God is even possible within the creation. Because His light, His presence, known in Hebrew as Or Ein Sof, the endless light, permeates every aspect of the creation, giving us the opportunity to seek it out and attain it. Now back to the topic of free will and destiny. Whether you're Jewish or not, chances are that you've heard the phrase Mazel Tov, at least once before. Mazel Tov is often mistakenly translated as good luck. But this cannot be, since in Judaism, we don't believe in luck. For something to be based on luck or chance, it means that there was no predictable cause or control over the occurrence of an event. And according to Judaism, there's no such thing as an effect that doesn't have a cause. This means that there's no chance or randomness within the creation. In fact, the Hebrew word mazal actually comes from the root word nozel, which means to flow, implying that there's a source or a cause from which the blessing is derived. So every effect has a cause, and there is no such thing as randomness. So if we adjust our understanding of the phrase Mazal Tov, we are actually wishing the person a good flow of divine energy from above. The word Mazal can also mean constellation or stars. When light travels from above to below, which means from upper dimensions of the creation to the lower dimensions, We call this nature or destiny. In Hebrew, it's called mazal. Included within this concept is the 12 zodiac signs, known as mazalot, which stem from the Kabbalistic wisdom of astrology. Now, this is where I'm going to emphasize this. Although everything we just said is true, and exists as a concept in Torah, in literally the first chapter of Bereshit, it states that Adam was made B'Tselem Elokim, in the image of God. Now what does that mean? Does that mean God looks like us, and thinks like us, and I don't know, has earwax and body odor, and has a job? No, obviously not. God does not have any form, any definition, not in his essence, anyways. The image we're referring to here is that man has the capacity to emulate God and become more similar to God. So of course, being created in the image of God means that we have the power, the capacity, the ability to understand and choose in a way that is unbound by the external influences, the same way that God is unbound by external influences as well. However, it is true that we exist within the created world, and there are external forces that affect many different aspects and areas of our lives, like our genetics, our upbringing, our looks, and so on. But even that, I want to mention, is not random. That is based on the way you performed in a previous lifetime, according to the correction that is required for your soul to undergo, the lessons it needs to learn. And this is what we call mazal, which, remember, refers to the blessings that flow from above to below. And oftentimes they're hidden blessings. Some people might have great mazal in one area, but not so much in another. Just to give a couple examples, a person could be born into a wealthy family. That's a revealed blessing. But they find difficulty in making friends. That's a hidden blessing. And of course, having wealth could be a curse, but truly, in Judaism, we don't believe that bad has any self-sufficient and self-sustaining reality to it. The bad in the world is just good, but you're not able to see how it plays a role in the divine plan. That's actually a deeper perspective on what evil even is from a mystical point of view. Or another example, a person might merit good looks, but struggles in some other area in their life. Mazal manifests itself in this world through something we call nature, which, just for your information, in Hebrew we call it hateva, the nature. It contains the same numerical value as the name of God, Elohim, which is 86. So in a certain sense, Elohim, which is God's name as it refers to the forces of creation, the forces of nature, refers to all the forces of creation that impose themselves into the world, from above to below. Like when you become angry, or jealous, or when there's a flood or a tornado. These are just a few examples of external forces that influence our world. And that is destiny, meaning it flows from above to below. But again, those are all limitations which exist within the creation, otherwise known as nature. So the job of nature, the job of destiny, is to impose limitations on the creation. However, Judaism teaches something revolutionary. That even then, even tornadoes, even anger, even any force of nature and decree can be transformed, can be transcended, can be altered by our free will. In other words, Judaism believes in destiny, but that we can change our destiny. And that, my friends, is attained through learning how to awaken the light of the soul within the consciousness, within the mind. By expanding our consciousness, which we do that through learning Torah, and through expanding and improving our character traits, and by observing the commandments, we unlock the ability to direct our influence from below to above, allowing us to transcend the decrees, to transform our circumstances, and break free from the limitations imposed from above. That's really what Judaism is all about. It's about freeing ourselves from the slavery of Egypt by transforming the bad within each of us and changing our nature from that of a selfish receiver into a vessel that receives for the sake of giving pleasure to the giver. In other words, transforming our selfishness into selflessness. Because in reality, there is nothing wrong with receiving. There's nothing wrong with enjoying. But why are you receiving? Receiving is not necessarily good or bad. It's like desire. You can't say that a desire is good or bad. But what's motivating it? Why are you receiving? That is how to transform your nature and become free. Now, how do you actually do it on a practical level? Well, that's exactly why the Torah was given. To guide a person to the tree of life. A state of consciousness that transcends all limitations. By aligning ourselves with the attributes of God and revealing the light of God within our vessels.